This is going to be a review for the Lab Practical 1, the parts on bacteria and Protista. Although this slideshow actually contains fungi and plants as well, I'm just going to go over the bacteria and the Protista. So, in this recording anyway. This is a high-power light microscope image of E. coli bacteria. All you need to know is that it is in the domain bacteria. I'm not going to ask you about the fact that it's in the group Proteobacteria, but you will need to be able to see that it's pink, so it's gram-negative, and that if you look on the outside edges here, maybe I can even blow this up some. Yeah, you can see that some of these on the outside edges that are off by themselves are rod-shaped. So these are gram-negative bacillus bacteria. So make sure you know that. The only thing you don't need to know from over here on the right is the group. I won't ask you about that. All right, then we have a picture of Clostridium Botulinum. There is a better picture posted in week 2, the study guide that was posted in week 2. But you can still see in this one that the Clostridium Botulinum is bacillus-shaped with endospores. Let me blow this up just a little bit. This one, for example, has an endospore right here on the end. It's like an but it's not as clear as the one in this from the study guide that's included with week 2. So these are 2 with endospores on the end. So here's one bacillus with an endospore and another bacillus with an endospore. Here's a bacillus with an endospore. So this is Clostridium botulinum in the domain bacteria. You just need to know that it's purple, so it's gram-positive. And then this one, especially if you look here in this region that I'm pointing at right now, these are coccus-shaped purple bacteria. This is Staphylococcus aureus in the domain bacteria. These are gram-positive because they're purple, and you would also need to know that they are coccus-shaped, which the name tells you that. Okay, this is Cyanobacteria. Specifically, this is Oscillatoria from the domain bacteria and the group Cyanobacteria. And here we have another Cyanobacteria called Nostoc. And this is a picture of our preserved specimen that we have of Nostoc. Nostoc just looks like kind of like a dark greenish scum on the surface of pond water and that kind of thing. So this is just a little sampling of that. But Nostoc is in the domain bacteria and the group Cyanobacteria. It is known as blue-green algae, but it is not an algae. It's not an alga. It is in the domain bacteria. It is specifically in the group Cyanobacteria. All right, now we're going to move on to the kingdom Protista. The ones up to this point were from the domain bacteria. Now we have domain Eukarya. This is a stained amoeba. You can see the nucleus here, and you can see the pseudopods. Okay, so the amoeba is from the kingdom Protista, the supergroup Amoebozoa. It's called Amoeba Proteus. That's its scientific name, and make sure you know that it does have pseudopods that help it to move and eat. This one is a Spirogyra, which is a filamentous green algae. Domain Eukarya, kingdom Protista, and the green algae are in the supergroup Archaeoplastida. This is another green algae called Volvox. It's colonial green algae, so these are growing in colonies. Domain Eukarya, kingdom Protista, supergroup Archaeoplastida, and the name of this again is Volvox. It's a colonial green algae. Here you have an image of the little red dots are red blood cells, and then the wavy purple worm-like things are Trypanosoma gambiense, which cause African sleeping sickness. The domain is Eukarya, the kingdom Protista, and the supergroup is Excavata. The subgroup is Euglenozoa. So the Trypanosoma protozoan is in the same subgroup as the Euglena that we saw in lab. The Euglena that were green and they could swim, they had a flagella. The Trypanosoma are in that same subgroup, Euglenozoa. And this is a picture of all these, this is still red blood cells, but these little purple structures, they're kind of scattered throughout here, are Plasmodium Falsiparum, which cause malaria. So these are in the domain Eukarya, the kingdom Protista, the supergroup chrome alveolates, and the subgroup is alveolates. And their scientific name is Plasmodium Falsiparum, and these are the protozoans that cause malaria. This is a very bad picture of a Giardia lamblia protozoan. You have a better picture in week 3 study guide. If you look at the study guide in week 3, the picture of the Giardia is much better, but we will go ahead and classify it. Domain Eukarya, kingdom Protista, supergroup Excavata, but this time the subgroup instead of Euglenozoa is the diplomonads. The diplomonads. This is the only example that we learned of from the subgroup diplomonads. The diatoms are from the supergroup Chromalveolata and the subgroup Straminopiles. They have a 2-part glass shell under the microscope. They're very pretty, almost look like stained glass. The next the next organism from the group, the kingdom Protista, is Paramecia, and these are actually 2 Paramecia. This is one here, and then there's one lying right beside of it. You can see the cilia really good. These are stained so that you can see them better, so they look a little different than the ones we saw in lab. But these are 2 Paramecia lying side by side. What they're doing is called conjugation. They're exchanging genes. They are from the supergroup Chromalveolata and the subgroup Alveolata. And then we have a preserved specimen. This is a green algae. All you have to know is that it's a green algae. It actually is the color green. So when you look at the preserved specimen up close, you'll see that this specimen is green in color. It's like a light green color. So it's in the green algae, domain Eukarya, kingdom Protista, supergroup Archaeoplastida. Another green algae, same supergroup, Archaeoplastida. This one is also green in color. It's more leaf-like, but it's green in color. And another one from the supergroup Archaeoplastida, but this time this is red algae. The red algae actually looks green with some specks of red if you look at it up close, and you just have to know the common name red algae. Then we have some specimens that are brown algae. Brown algae is not in the Archaeoplastida. It is in the supergroup Chromalveolata and the subgroup Straminopiles. Here's another brown algae, subgroup Straminopiles. And then here is, this starts the fungi. Let me make sure I don't have any more. Yeah, this starts the fungi, so I'm going to stop here because this will not be on lab practical number 1.